Rob Clayman joins us. We're taking care of business, the Oshkosh Chamber of Commerce show, presented by Bank First. And of course, they're in their new location, have been there for a while. We'll bring in Rob. We've got a guest this morning. We've got some things to talk about, lots of things going on here in town. And, well, he gave me the latest unemployment numbers. They look very, very favorable. And we'll talk a little more about that as we wrap things up later on in the hour. But good morning, Rob Clayman.
Morning, Bob Burnell. How are you today?
Very, very good. How about you?
Doing great on this fine Monday.
Good to hear. Lots of things happening. We got a guest. He was here recently. Apparently, he agreed to come back, which was a real surprise.
It's always great when these guests come back. You just never know. Right. Thanks, Bob. We have Jason Manette with us. I think he was here back in the fall when we did an update on some of the SBA programs and financial markets, et cetera. We're always glad to have Jason because he's a wealth of knowledge and brings a great perspective from a financing perspective and how business is doing out there. So Jason, thanks for joining us today. Jason Manette with WBD.
You bet, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
You want to start here with just telling us a little about what you do, Jason? You're part, of course, of the Chamber of Commerce. They have a committee that you're assigned to, but you have a real job in addition to that oversees what's happening business-wise across the state.
Sure, yeah. So I work for an organization called WBD Incorporated now. We'll be turning 40 this summer. For the past 40 years, we've been partnering with financial institutions like Bank First to assist borrowers throughout the state in accessing a program called the SBA 504 loan program, which gives long-term fixed rate financing for businesses that are expanding, purchasing real estate or equipment. We typically will do about 200 504 projects in the state and into Minnesota, which is also part of our territory each year. But with low rates that we're seeing today, we're looking at potentially as many as 300 projects coming through our organization this year. So some pretty tremendous growth despite everything that's been happening in this crazy year in the economy.
Wow, 300 projects. That's a lot of projects. And some of those are Fox Valley projects, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If I could, I'd just like to touch on a couple of them that we did recently with Bank First. The first one I would highlight is the Home Care Assistance Group, actually originally assisted in startup in part by the Chamber through the revolving loan fund program as well as Bank First. But we partnered with Bank First to help the Davids acquire their new facility that they're now in at 9th and 41. And by using the 504 program, they were able to lock in that long-term fixed rate financing. And then the other major benefit is they minimize the down payment that they need into a project. Typically using our program, a business can get into a project with as little as 10% down payment, which is advantageous versus the typical commercial loan structure. So that's one example. And then the other example I would throw out there is a project we worked with Joan on. About 20% of our borrowers are manufacturers. And one such example would be Castle Pierce, obviously 100-plus-year-old organization in the Oshkosh community. Purchased a new facility due to some growth that they've been seeing through some acquisition activity. So they were also able to use the program and again, leverage that long-term fixed rate financing as part of their expansion.
Jason Manette along with us. He has been the longest standing member, they tell me, of the Oshkosh Chamber Economic Development Advisory Committee. And that is pretty much where businesses come to when they need a little help. It's kind of the initial get together, isn't it, between the Chamber of Commerce and entrepreneurs?
Right. Yeah. I'll just speak to it from my perspective. I know Mike and Joan are involved as well. Of course, Joan being the chair of the chamber board, but it's really been a great group to keep in touch as to what's happening in the community, what's new and what's new and shaking in Oshkosh. So been glad to participate in that as a volunteer for, I think it's been 20 years now.
Now, you're optimistic about the economy. Apparently, others are optimistic as well because we're seeing a number of expansions. We're seeing a number of businesses that are starting up right now, despite all the woe with the economics over the last year with the pandemic. Apparently, things are good enough to have people come and want to expand their business, or for that matter, start a new business.
Yeah, I would concur. There's still some really soft spots in the economy, as I know Mike and Rob and Joan have discussed on the show before. Obviously, hospitality is very difficult in terms of hotels and restaurants still struggling. Part of what the SBA is doing, the Small Business Administration, which of course we work with very closely, is doing with some of their recent programming is more targeted. They're going to be offering this restaurant revitalization program, which should provide some additional funding to restaurants that have been impacted, of course, very negatively by the pandemic. They also have a shuttered venue program, which we were just talking a little bit offline, that will be available to provide some funds for those places that have been completely closed, theaters, et cetera, during the last year. But outside of those areas, I would tend to agree with you, Bob. I think that we're obviously seeing tremendous loan activity, folks wanting to grow, and so that's been really encouraging.
We are brought to you by Bank First. Joan, I hear, is on the line with us here, and I guess it's a great chance for us to get a little update on mortgages, and along with that, home improvement loans. You can get them right there at Bank First. But locally, from what I hear, the real estate market, what is out there, is being gobbled up in a matter of hours or days at best.
Yeah, the inventory out there is really slim, and some people are taking advantage of selling their home now to get that higher price, but you got to find a new one. So it's tough out there. I think, a lot of people are investing in their homes, staying home after the pandemic. They're borrowing money more to fix up what they have and make it nicer. And
you can take advantage of some of that, what we call equity, and use that and get yourself a loan, and maybe redo a bedroom or a bathroom, or add the man cave to the basement, something along those lines. You can start it at Bank First as easily as going online and looking into that a little further, or maybe contacting them and getting a sit-down appointment. But one of the things I've heard, because of the housing market, Joan, it's so tight right now that you need to be pre-approved. You need a number. You got to have verification of that before you actually begin any search at all for a new home.
Yeah, it's really important to do that, to contact your local bank. Make sure you're pre-qualified and you know how much you can borrow for that home, so that you can put your offer in. Multiple offers are going in on homes now, so it is a seller's market for sure.
I've had, I think, 3 homes in the neighborhood go up for sale, and everyone's spoken for. Wow. They have a buyer. It's bonkers right now. That's right. It's bonkers.
Even in your neighborhood, Bob?
Even in the low-down slums that I live in. Yeah. Yes. It's going, actually.
They don't even hit the listings either.
They don't
hit the listings.
And they go above asking price. That's the thing. And
you're not even seeing the for sale signs anymore. They're just sold.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yeah.
Or they put one up for show. Just to entice somebody else to sell their home. So I don't know. I haven't seen any realtors walk in the neighborhood just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of our friends from one of the real estate companies knocking on doors asking, would you like to sell your house? I got somebody for it. But apparently there's a few sweet spots in the market, and I know that people are looking to move to town. Others, like Joan said, it's tough to find a place to go. If you want to downsize, well, that's fine. That's a great idea, but how do you downsize? What's available maybe in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath home when you're in a 3 or 4-bedroom, 3-bath home now? We're going to take a break, guys. We're going to come back. We'll talk a little more with Jason Manette. He's our guest today. It's the Chamber of Commerce's Taking Care of Business show here on NewsTalk Radio 1490 WOSH. We also have this available online as a podcast. You get to see our smiling faces there, right, Rob? We get everybody a square, and we play the Brady Bunch for a while, and we all come on and talk a little about what we're doing as far as economic development. Let me take that break. We'll be back in about 5 minutes. We'll get the second half of the show underway. Thank you, guys. We are brought to you this morning by Bank First here in Oshkosh. They're at their new location, 41 and 21, just to the, well, that would be the east side of the road. That would be the Keller Road side. On this Monday, we've got Rob Clayman. We've got Jason Manette. We've got Joan Wolf. We've got Mike Dempsey. We got everybody online. Going to continue our conversation. Rob, you want to take it over and talk a little more with Jason about what he's doing here locally with you guys at the Chamber?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Bob. I wanted to mention when you introduced Jason out in the beginning, you said longest standing member of our economic development group here at the Chamber. I said long-standing member. I think the longest-standing member is Mike Dempsey, who's also on the line. And maybe Tom Belter also, but I think Mike's got him. But in any respect, they've all been intimately involved.
Rob, how many years have you worked there?
Oh boy, 31. How's that?
Okay. I've been hanging around before you.
31 years of the Chamber of Commerce. My goodness.
Imagine that.
Oh my God.
31. Time flies
You
when you're
came
having
there as a
fun.
small child, apparently, dropped on the doorstep, and John Casper brought you in.
Yeah, I started at 10. I was 10 years old.
All right.
Right.
Let's get back to our guest, Jason Manette, here locally. Your relationship with the Chamber of Commerce and some of the things you folks are doing as far as projects and what's happening here locally within the city limits or the county limits.
Yeah, so it's not uncommon at all for the chamber to be involved in referring business to WBD. Also, obviously, everything we do involves a lender like Bank First as part of our programming as well. So there tends to be a lot of crossover amongst the groups in terms of bringing the whole financial package together for businesses that are either starting up or expanding. So yeah, it's been, I just mentioned, I know the chamber was involved in other organizations. We were involved in 2 projects with the revitalization of Aviation Plaza, both, of course, the Mine Shaft Restaurant and Extreme Customs. So thinking about what was there even 2 years ago versus what's there now, really a success story for the city of Oshkosh and all those involved to bring that kind of tax base, that kind of economic activity to what was essentially a completely vacant site, other than, no offense to Rogan's, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Rogan's, but to have those other businesses in there and generating that kind of activity has really been great.
I know a lot of people like to see things go very, very quickly. It's not that way. Economic development is not that way. Starting businesses, attracting businesses, retaining businesses. This is a long and laborious project, and you see it here. Look how long it took for this area to get to where it is today, and it's a great improvement over it was, but it takes a while. It really does. It's not something that just, bam, all of a sudden is there.
Right. I mean,
I think we worked with Mineshaft, since 2013 or 14. And then, and they had been here in early 2000s looking at other sites. It does take a long time. I think of Best Buy, on the commercial side, I think we called on them for 8 straight years out at the ICSC convention before they even started looking at Oshkosh and came here. And Jason's right. I mean, it's really, there's so many different entities that are involved that to try to pull the pieces together. If you think from the public sector and the city and the county and, from the state perspective, WEDC gets involved with their programs. WEDA, Jason is the current head of WEDA, which is the Wisconsin Economic Development Association, statewide membership association that really does a lot of lobbying and legislative activities to support businesses. So, I mean, it takes that. And then, of course, we have local banks and financial institutions that really are the backbone of helping the projects along with WBD. And, and then you get these federal programs involved. We were talking off air about the PPP program and some of the newer programs that are coming online that have really had a positive impact as well.
There is definitely a lot of federal money that has found its way back into Oshkosh, and even more is coming down to the county as well as the city. I think there was a report this morning that already $20 billion has made its way in the last year to Wisconsin, and that doesn't count the money that's gone into individual checking accounts or savings accounts or been spent by local consumers, but it's just a whole lot of money coming in right now. And I know that Mike and Joan, you have been busy helping out local businesses here, get what they need as far as programs and aid. I know, you working 24 hours a day, you told me here recently, helping local businesses get what they need from the federal government due to the PPP program?
Yeah, the Paycheck Protection Program, we just did a report on this. For 2020, we did over 1,800 loans, 1,862 businesses approved by SBA for almost $280 million. That was round 1. Round 2, we had 1,059, which could be a second round for somebody, but could be a first also too. That's come up to about 96 million for us now. So, and a lot of these are getting forgiven now. I think from round 1, we have about 360 remaining that have not been forgiven yet, or they haven't applied for their forgiveness yet. So it has really pumped a ton of money into these local businesses.
Amazing amount of money is coming in right now. And I'm sure businesses, in a lot of cases, they needed it just to survive. It's not a case of they're going to buy something they didn't buy before, but these are basically employees who were able to keep on the job as a result. Rob, you want to touch on the employment numbers here? I know we usually get to them later, but I think this may be a good segue. The latest numbers just came out. And again, Oshkosh and Winnebago County had some impressive numbers, didn't they?
They did. They are. Yeah, they're hot off the press. really from late last week, Friday, and Oshkosh comes in at 3.9%, which is one of the lowest in the region and one of the lowest of larger communities across the state of Wisconsin. We were at 3% last year to kind of give you a perspective. Winnebago County's numbers are identical to that, 3.9% unemployment. Looking at the city, there's 543 more city residents working this year over last year at the same time, and over 1,400 Winnebago County residents working this year over last year at the same time. So, I mean, those are pretty impressive numbers, thinking about where we came from with over 14% unemployment in the city and the county back just last April. So the recovery's on, and as Jason mentioned earlier, it depends what industry you're looking at. Most have recovered and are doing well. There's only hospitality and others that are coming back and still have a ways to go. Hence, we still see programs that are out there. I mean, Jason was talking off air about some SBA programs. The SBA has been making the payments for people over the past year. Maybe Jason would want to mention a little about that.
Yeah, there's been payment relief for those that had existing loans in place. Businesses that had a loan in place prior to the pandemic have had at least 9 months of payments made on their behalf as part of the federal relief as well. So it's been a huge benefit of using the program, no question about it. Given a little more staying power with everything that's been going on.
Now, the governor had asked about how he's going to dole out this money. He's giving like $5,000 grants to, I think, 8,000, 9,000, maybe even more than that, businesses across the state. And it kind of just divvied up of the $400 million to where everybody gets $5,000. Now, in some cases, that will be a big help. In others, it'll be a drop in the bucket, I would think, though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it depends on the business, but it's going to be called the Wisconsin Tomorrow Small Business Grant Program, real similar to what they did with the We're All In grant program. I think there's about 84,000 businesses that'll, again, qualify for these $5,000 grants. So it's helpful. I mean, it's $420 million. That's really, being pumped right into the local economy, into the statewide economy. So all that helps. We still have money available in our local programs, the city GoEDC loan program, the Winnebago County program. We have a bar and restaurant program here at the chamber, but those programs, and Jason's on the review committee for the county program, those programs have been used a lot less over the past, let's say, 3 to 6 months. And I think that's just the PPP program has been probably really beneficial from the federal perspective for our businesses, but businesses are doing better. So, I mean, it's a little bit of debt averse, I think. And if Mike, Joan, or Jason had some comments on that.
I was just going to say, as it relates to employment, maybe I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was kind of blown away by the number of folks that were looking for help at the recent chamber drive-through job fair. It was kind of a who's who of employers in Oshkosh that have help wanted signs out and are looking for people. It almost feels in most sectors that we're back to where we were pre-pandemic as it relates to the employment market, to me anyway.
Are you a little surprised by that? I think we hear that a number of people lost their job, and I know there's some federal help there, and they've received unemployment compensation. But I see a lot of help wanted signs everywhere I go here in town. And I mean, granted, some jobs are entry level jobs, but there are a lot of good jobs too. I sit back and watch television or hear job offers here on the radio in the $20 to $25 an hour range. I mean, these are substantial, good jobs. Well, what's happening here locally, Rob? You said more people are working now than there was 1 year ago, which is an encouraging sign. But we have a shortage of labor. What exactly is happening there?
Well, I think it's all that, Bob. I think some of it is demographics. We're getting older, so I mean, there's less workers in the workforce, and less every day. I also think, I mean, the programs are a double-edged sword. I mean, there's certainly people that need help and support, but with, the extension of unemployment benefits and some of the benefits that are going out there, there's a little bit less incentive, let's say, at least on the entry level side, to get back into the work. You're out of the workforce. So I think some of that is holding things back a little bit and is contributing to those numbers. So, I think that'll probably change within the next 6 months or so, but that's a contributing factor.
All right. I just wondered because, like I said, I think you couldn't throw a stone without hitting a wanted sign for that matter.
Well, we had 75 local companies. We had the drive job fair here last week in our chamber parking lot, and that Patty Andreessen, she worked on that and sold that out within 2 days, 2 or 3 days. We had
Really?
job openings in these packets, and we had over 200 people that came that day in a 3-hour period. So there were, there's people looking at, still looking for work and maybe looking to upgrade their current position. And then we can back those entry-level jobs, just like the housing market. I mean, there's this huge lack of homes in the $200,000 to $400,000 range per se. And if we could, get people to move up into those ranges and open up some of the housing, that's going to help for college graduates and that sort of thing as well.
Going to need a loan for that $500,000 house, though. That's where our sponsor, Bank First, comes in.
Absolutely.
They can help you out with that. And you get pre-qualified before you go out there, so they can know you're the real deal when you come by and say you want that $500,000 home on the lake. But yeah, good luck to you on that one. But yes, you'll need to have some paperwork along with you, or they're not going to let you through the door. I wanted to just touch a minute on Bank First because, of course, they're located right across the interstate from us, over near 41 and 21. Do we have the lobby still closed, Joan? Are we still closed to the lobby, folks, and just doing the drive-through thing?
No, we are completely reopened in our locations. We did that earlier in March. We made that decision. We are asking folks to wear a mask when they come in, but we're going to probably look at reducing that this summer. Just want to keep people safe and moving in the right direction.
Good to hear. Again, you can drop by, talk about, a new home. Maybe you want to do something to your home. You can improve it greatly with the help of Bank First. Rob, we were going to talk Waterfest, weren't we, as part of the conversation today?
I think we wanted to, and that brings Mike Dempsey online because I think there's definitely a couple of updates from Waterfest perspective, Mike.
Yeah, well, thanks. Waterfest is at www.waterfest.org. There's some a number of our early announcements are out there. We've got opening night on June 17th and with Hairball and a few other local bands from northeastern Wisconsin. And then we have another announcement coming up this week for the 24th, which should be a big show. In July, we're still looking, we have some offers in play there for July, a couple of dates in July. And then in August, we'll have quite a few dates. We expect there'll be more bands out touring. So it'll be, something that we're waiting on a few to see if they're going to be out and about, because a lot of the fall tours are starting to book, and then some of them will want to come through earlier. We have another, we think, a very large announcement for a major act. That'll be both of these acts that we'll be announcing this week are major acts, and that for August 5th. And then August 12th, we have a 60s, 70s package with 6 different bands that are kind of led by the Buckinghams and Ides of March. That's up. There's at least 6 Crying Shames, Shadows of Night, New Colony 6, all those prom bands. And then on the 19th, we have a swamp rocker from Florida, second trip through Waterfest, JJ Gray and Mofro, which is a good rockin' band, really a lot of fun, horns and everything. So that'll be cool. And we've got a few other things coming up later in July. And I think we also have a show September 2nd that we'll be announcing a little bit later as well. Some of this takes a little bit of time because we need to get approval on some of the artwork and some of the messaging, and we have to get approval on some of the support acts. So as we talked about earlier, we were approved by the city to produce Waterfest under certain limitations, about 50% occupancy for the June shows, and I think it was 75% after that. We do have online sales for VIP individual shows that we've announced, as well as general admission. And we also have VIP season passes, which you'll have to trust us in the quantity of what we'll be producing, but it's always a value. And we'll have general admission season passes available online too. So they're all up. There could be some limitations on what we can allow in the facility at the Leach Amphitheater, which is absolutely beautiful. And we hope people start buying things online, which they've already had. We've had a real good rush on the shows that we've announced, but there's still tickets available.
I'm hoping by the time we sit down and do our Memorial Day get together, you and I will have the lineup all set to go, and we'll start rocking the Fox on June the 17th is happy. The member we talked to from Hairball said it's been a crazy year, and the only cure is rock and roll. He's bringing it to town on June the 17th. All right. Rob, anything else we want to wrap up with here today? We got a few minutes, but anything else? I see all these things going up. A lot of construction going on. A lot of things happening here locally.
There is. I mean, you see all the residential projects that are underway and senior living, and we talked about that on the last radio show. But I see that the Miles Kimball redevelopment at 851 South Main YVR Investments, they got approval on a TIF last week. That's Brett Hildebrand and Molly Urban. That'll be 28 units going in the white building on South Main. But over on Oshkosh Ave, you see the hotel going up, kind of across from Bank First, and as I understand, Mr. Hoopman told me last week that Pizza on 44 is going to be opening a location over there next to Dunkin' Donuts. So maybe it'll be Pizza on 21, Pizza on Oshkosh Ave. We'll have to see what the name is, but there'll be a new restaurant coming in there. And then they're also working with a 12,000 square foot sports bar, possibly, and an additional retail building coming in that area. You saw Discount Tire going up on South Washburn. That's next to the bar over on South Washburn. So that's great. I understand the Gibson Social Club should be completed by the end of June on North Main Street at 531 North Main. And that'll, of course, be weddings and meetings and that sort of thing going on there. A nice improvement to that building. And then the Venture Project opened up kind of last month at 210 North Main. It's a new co-work space in town. So we've got the Grind and the Venture Project. So that's really a nice thing to see in Oshkosh. So yeah, lot going on.
Yeah, definitely. And of course we are waiting until Dunkin' Donuts opens up. We'll be over there doing free live reports for them all day long. No, I'm kidding there. But it is good to see a return of Waterfest. Festival of Spring's going to be back at the Payne Arts Center and Gardens. We've got other things happening here. I know that we've got calls in to the folks over at the Senior Center. They're bringing back their Food Truck Fridays. So we're getting a little bit of normalcy back again here in the area, and that's good to see. As far as what else is happening, guys, I guess right now we are looking forward to Waterfest. We're looking forward to all the summer events coming our way, and we're just going to keep our fingers crossed we continue to move in the right direction in the meantime. Joan, a last word from Bank First. Anything else happening with you folks over there at the bank?
We are, open for business. We brought in a lot of new businesses with the PPPs. That was very, very successful, and we were really glad to help folks that needed it. And just know that we're here.
Good to hear. 41 and 21, just across the way from the new hotel going up. The new hotel going up in that area over there. That is really, you look at that. I drove down there last week late. That area is changing so much from what it used to be. It's amazing. It's an amazing thing. And it's just great progress being made over there. I've got to run, folks. I thank you for the time, as always. We'll talk again soon. Thank you again to Mike, Joan, Jason, and Rob, part of our Taking Care of Business show here on WOSH, sponsored by Bank First here in Oshkosh. Let me take a quick time out. We're to come back. We'll wrap up the day after this.